Welcome to Chatter Gang, a pod about the magic and the gathering. I'm your host, Hope Speaking, but you can call me Jose. And today, I only get 13 questions for this one today? I gotta ask our guest because he's really the one who would know better about 13 guesses than anything. Hey, JMarGameDesigns, aka Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. That was a great little intro
Thank you.
there.
Thank you. We'll get into the Spotify stuff later, but yeah, your stuff is really great. And by the way, you're crazy intelligent when it comes to magic, and being able to like spot those little. Honestly, like half the time when you're doing it, I'm like, I'm not even sure I know what color this is yet, and you're already like, I know what all these words are.
It's a
So
curse, I tell you. It's a curse of
it's
knowledge.
it's a curse. Well, where I want to start with you is, well, hey, how are you? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I've been spending my weekend just kind of chilling. I don't know if people catch the name from this, but I had a little short kind of go crazy recently on the talking about cool but rude necrodominance, and now I'm trying to figure out to make if I make a sequel to that or not, or what to do from there. I'm not used to videos popping off that much, so this is a little new for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I mean, you have a decent following on YouTube. I mean, I 1.6 thousand is like hard to get to on any platform, let alone YouTube, because YouTube is like it feels like one of the hardest ones to be able to do anything on and have it catch on. So
I
obviously you're doing well.
I don't. I'll be honest. I feel like maybe just because I've been on YouTube the longest compared to everything else. Because
Mhm.
it was like I was trying to do long form for YouTube, and then just I would start to do the short form stuff with Spellify and all that, and like move and just cross posting to like Instagram and TikTok. I
Yeah,
feel like I feel like TikTok has actually been the hardest to gather new subscribers off of, at least for or followers. If unless it's like it's weird because like Spellify picks up stuff kind of regularly. However, Instagram I think is just a different platform. I'm not as used to,
yeah,
but TikTok
yeah.
seems very much of like if it doesn't catch you in the first nanosecond, you don't have a shot. Like
It's true.
I've seen some friends like, yeah, this is how I like go through TikTok, and it's literally just them just like swiping through, not even stopping for a moment. Like your brains are shot. Like, how does this
Yeah,
operate?
that's why like half the things I see anymore are like basically the hook of the whole thing, or it's literally something that happens. It's like a movie trailer now, right? Where like you have the most important thing happen right at the beginning, so people are like, "Oh, I want to see why this happened or how this happened," and then they end up watching it. So if you don't do that, then just like, "Oh, next thing," like you said, nanosecond. It's crazy. It's
It's
absolutely
mental.
crazy.
I can understand why schools are afraid of like social media because it actually is kind of like turning brains to soup to some
Yeah, it
degree.
really is. Well, and so you mentioned that you've been doing it for a while. I know that you about 6 years ago posted your first video on your 6 7 years ago, something like that, on your YouTube. Not that wasn't a 6 7 joke, I promise.
I
But
know, I know.
I can't. But you look at it, and it doesn't exactly tell you. But it
Yeah.
was a little while ago. Then you had like about a year in between, and then is where you really started your journey. Does that sound about right for your content?
Yeah, like I remember the first video I wanted to put together because this was oh god, that I'm trying to think like in my brain the timeline. That would put it around like my junior year of college, and I think at that point I was actually starting to get into Magic around that point, and I had found Ristic Study and Ristic, not the card, but like the channel, Sam from Ristic
Yeah.
Studies. And I really liked his videos because nothing else in the overall like trading card game, like content arena was anything close to that kind of analysis and deep dive onto things. And at the time I was still I'm still into Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's like Yu-Gi-Oh was the game I've had the most knowledge of because that was my playing it since I was like 6. And I was like, damn, why isn't there like a series that goes kind of into this in depth on tournaments or like other things. And the scene's different now. There's definitely a lot more videos in other trading card game spaces that are similar to Risk Studies. But at the time, there wasn't really anything. And I was like, I'm gonna try something. And I thought, okay, what's something I could make a video on? And I decided to make it on Light Sworns, which was a deck archetype out of Yu-Gi-Oh. The best analogy I could say for Magic to kind of explain the deck strategy is almost dredge. Like you're milling yourself to trigger effects of stuff in graveyard to then special stuff out, and then you have like these big haymakers in hand that are like, oh, do you have enough of these light swords in grave? Slam down a massive dragon because that's every endgame plan in Yu-Gi-Oh. If you meet X condition, summon a big fuck off dragon.
I mean, I feel like that should be like the end of every game ever. It should just be like somehow get big fuck off dragon onto the
Yeah, a
board.
little bit, honestly. And that was the first one that came out, and then I had put out a little other things here and there. I'd say the real quote unquote start to making content was another type of video where I was trying to convert Yu-Gi-Oh cards into Magic, and that was like Six
Hmm.
Samurai card connection thing. And then I was putting out a little more things here and there. And then I'd like to say I really started taking content creation seriously when I put out the Horde of Notions deck tech. That was I think my mental point of like I'm gonna start doing a lot more with this than I already have.
What made you want to start doing that, especially when you started with the Horde of Notions deck tech? Like, I know for me, getting into social media was just like, let me see what happens. But was yours more of an affirm, like I'm going to do this because this is something that I want to do long term? Is it you want to do it for fun? What was your mindset going into it?
The full intent wasn't entirely long term. I had just gotten laid off from a tech job out of college, and I reason still do stuff to stay like mentally creative. Because unfortunately, at the time, I went my first job out of college was working in casino game development because I went to a school for computer game design. That's why the account name is called JMarGameDesign. It was supposed to be initially just like the place I would post like game development kind of behind the scenes of just stuff I was working on was kind of the intent, and also just a place to like kind of throw out like deep dives into game design, which my experience at the time was like I still haven't played that many game, or I wouldn't say I'm like a massive video game person, but obviously card games have always been like the massive thing in my life, and I thought, okay, I could talk about card game design stuff. And what had happened at that point was I got laid off from the job, and I'm like, I still want to still be creative, but I'm also too burned out to want to look at my my code interface stuff. So let me talk about this cool elemental deck that I've had for a while now that I've been tinkering with for a bit, and kind of talk about it for bits and pieces and see where it goes from there. And then I started wanting to put some other videos. I think there was a little video that was supposed to be like surrounding a video talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and how to improve the tutorialization and getting more people into the game. I was doing that with my friends Jonah and Nolan. But what ended up happening was I never got around to editing the full like us just yapping about how to improve the game because Nolan got matched into the like I wouldn't say a complete like noob to the game, but just the way they were playing, the watching that game live was just kind of a little mind breaking of like why would you decide to do XYZ play there? And I was like, I gotta kind of take this out into its own video because it's just fun with everyone just riffing into it and just tearing into this random guy on the other side of the table. But basically, yeah, from there it started off as just a way to stay creative and then transitioned more into, well, let me try to make like an actual, career business thing out of this because the tech market's just kind of bad right now.
Yeah,
For the long
we're
for a long answer.
no, it's okay. I mean, the market is kind of where it is to today. So it seems like you've made a pretty good investment in yourself to try to continue the social media aspect of it, which you're doing, which I think you're doing a good job of. And as you talked about earlier, you had one of your bigger hits recently. Hopefully, don't put too much pressure on yourself about it. By the way, you're gonna you're gonna do this. You're doing great. But
I'm
what
trying.
made you? What was that?
I'm trying.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. What made you go? Well, actually, before I even get into that, what all card games did you play besides you played Yu-Gi-Oh, you played Magic? Did you play anything else?
So Yu-Gi-Oh is the major one. I vividly remember some people trying to get me into Magic at the time, like in high school, but it just didn't appeal to me because I was like, oh, why would you ever want to waste time like having to set up your lands into play? Like, what? Who would ever want to do that? I want to summon the Dark Magician and the Blue Eyes immediately. I don't want to do all this setup bullshit. So for a while it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like my main game. I would try a bunch of games here and there. Like I played a little bit of like the Pokemon TCG online. I some friends tried to get me into Vanguard. Legends of Runeterra when that was still a thing before they decided to kind of shift away from that and move into Riftbound, eventually to where it is now. I'd say the other massive TCG card game in my life was probably Hearthstone. A friend got me into it back in high school, and then I proceeded just to I wouldn't say no life the game, but I was pretty damn good. But there was a point I remember like right after I got my first job in May, it was like 2021, and I'm kind of staring at like Hearthstone like do I want to do this? Because the problem at the time is that Hearthstone was doing a lot of stuff to capitalize on being a digital game, and a lot of that boiled down to random card generation. And it became more of like my victory is less reliant on the active choices I make deck building and my strategy, and more dependent on who rolled better RNG. There is
Gotta
a
gotta love RNG. That's it's always so much fun.
there's a pretty popular clip from like the 2015 World Championships from Hearthstone. At the time, one of the best cards in the game was a card called Piloted Shredder. It was a 4 mana 4/3 that when it died would summon any random 2-drop in the game. So your pool was pretty massive. Like on most days, you're probably just getting like a 2 mana 2/2. But
Yeah.
there were like some really good hits you could get out of that. You could get like a 2 mana 4/4 that normally sucks if you cast it from the hand. But because it's just being put into play, you don't have to deal with any of the downsides. There was the comical 2 mana 0/7 called Doomsayer that if it lived back to your next turn would just blow up every creature on the board. So a lot of games would you just lose because like okay they crack your shredder, it's Doomsayer, you have the board advantage. Oh now you don't. But it's one particular clip. There's a card called Knife Juggler. Whenever you summon a guy, it deals 1 damage to a random enemy. Hearthstone has persistent damage across your units, so like they don't heal off at the end of turn like Magic. So Knife Juggler hits the guy's shredder, cracks into a 2/2 with taunt, which means you have to hit that before you can hit the person directly. And
Mhm.
that like just won the shredder guy the game because now just the random taunt just popped up in the way. It's like you don't have a way to deal with it. And in short, like I loved Hearthstone when yeah, there was like some RNG, but it felt like you could at least play around it. You can plan into it. And there are also some really cool strategies. There's a whole deck at the time called Egg Warrior that would be focused on damaging your own minions, making copies of them, leveraging the fact that your guys are all damaged, popping like these like egg like rock egg type cards. And that was probably some of like the highest skill expression I felt playing Hearthstone. And then just to kind of see the game turn into okay, I'm just gonna high roll you or just win. I'm done.
So, as someone who worked in a casino, you didn't really like the gambling portion of Heart? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Well, no, see the gambling's different because in gambling, I'm cracking packs. I'm spinning the wheel to get money. In this case, I'm trying to have an intellectual discussion with my opponents.
Yeah, right.
And this guy is going, that's a cool argument you have there. Let me roll my dice. The dice say you lose. Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. It's very true. That is super frustrating. So, do you play Arena? Do you play or
I
have
I
you?
tr- I tried getting into Arena like years ago. I got in around or like Guilds of Ravnica Allegiance block, and
Yeah.
then War of the Spark came out. And then being new to Magic, I didn't realize rotation was a thing. So when I was told, "Hey, this is like 2018 at the time," of like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're rotating the format. Those cards you spent time and money to obtain, you can't play them in here anymore." And they didn't have like a historic type format yet to
Yeah.
use your old cards. I was like, "So why am I playing this game?"
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm out. Well, the reason I ask is because
Yeah.
in Arena they have alchemy,
Oh
right?
god, I don't like alchemy.
And then I was about to ask, what's your opinion on alchemy? Yeah.
My beef with alchemy is like I think from a design standpoint it's kind of cool where it's like, oh, here's a traditional game that has been strictly paper and defined by the limitations of what we can do in a paper sense basically for god 25 30 years at this point. We now have a way to try out these cool designs online and go through this. I think Alchemy has done a better job than Hearthstone in terms of the randomness because there seems to be a lot less of it. Like the random effects seem to be like what is it like
Like
draft from something spellbook.
yeah, draft from a specific spell
And
book
Seek,
or like
I don't think I have as much beef with because that's usually just like pulling something from your
yeah,
deck, and that's at least easier randomness to tolerate because you're in a card game. You're already expecting to say, "Hey, there are some cards that I will find, some that I won't, some that my opponent will." But at least
yeah,
it's like it's a planned element because it's in your deck. Because my beef before with Hearthstone is a lot of the randomness was just like we're gonna generate a card that you didn't even put into your deck. We're gonna generate a possibility that like you just kind of stumble into versus something
yeah.
that you actually have planned and medicated for basically. So I think alchemy is cool in some degrees. I struggle though with alchemy of like that's design stuff and a lot of design things that you're making for alchemy that I think with very limited changes or very small changes you could just make into actual cards and not make them be alchemy specific. And also,
Right.
like, it's a pain in the ass when I go on Scryfall and I try to look up a card and it defaults to showing me the alchemy version because that's the version.
Yeah, right. That is super annoying. And another question. This is I'm going off on tangents here.
No, it's
Anyone
fine.
who listens to this knows this. Do you consider Garth One Eye an alchemy card?
Ooh, that's a good question. God, I
For those who don't know, while you're thinking about it, Garth One
yeah.
Eye, he can basically summon. It's a Black Lotus,
Dragon,
Sherman
Regrowth,
Dragon.
Braingiver, Terror, I think.
Thank you. Yeah. So he can summon basically five different cards at any point. One of them being Black Lotus, which is obviously, not legal. Also super expensive. You never see anyone who ever plays Garth actually have a Black Lotus. It's a proxy,
I
but
I guess
like
by
he's
definition
just creating it out of whole cloth, right? Like at the end of the day, he's creating it out of whole cloth.
I guess if I didn't God, it's so hard because I don't want to be like a hypocrite about it. But it's like by the definition of the rules, yeah, Garth is kind of an alchemy card, but I think maybe it just feels like it works better in paper because it's not like the stuff that says like conjure X card into your
Yep.
hand,
Yep.
or like the stuff that's like you get a one-time boon that like the next thing you summon as like a persistent effect has, X ability. Like those are obviously alchemy mechanics, and I think they're just alchemy because they're harder to keep track of in a proper paper game.
Yeah.
Like I can't deny, I guess in that vein, Garth probably is an alchemy, but it's probably a card that doesn't make me mad just because it's things you could at least do and create, and at least
Yeah.
works with the rules of the game. Of like, oh, like I know one of the issues with conjuring specifically within arena, if I'm correct, is the conjured card will then like stay as a permanent game piece. It's not like a token that
Yes.
once it leaves the game disappears. It's now like, oh, if I conjured a Black Lotus from like Holy Alpha, now it'll be in my graveyard once I crack it for the mana.
Correct. Yeah. That is correct.
And I guess in technicality, yeah, Garth is like an alchemy card, but I think is probably the way you'd want to make alchemy cards in the paper game, where they can do these cool things, but they don't create these massive ramifications for card tracking or like pieces in the graveyard or like shuffling stuff into your deck. That's I guess in that vein, like Garth is like the way of an alchemy card I'd love to see printed more into paper.
I actually wholeheartedly agree with you because I don't I think Garth is funny just in
Yeah.
general. I
Oh,
think it's
definitely. I
funny to
feel
have a
that.
Black Lotus, but it is like if you're going to do it in paper, that's probably the best way. Is you have five options. It's not like a whole like go have a separate deck, 60 card deck that you need to sort through to see what
Yeah.
card you're going to get out of it. You don't have to remember that one card has forever +1/+1 and persist or something like that. Like like you don't have to remember all that. It's just, oh, you have a Black Lotus. Oh, you have a Shaman Dragon. Oh, you have a Regrowth. Like that's it. That's all you have to remember. And they don't go to the graveyard as normal. They just exist and then disappear when they're done when you use them. No problem.
Perpetually,
So
like perpetual stuff, I think is a cool mechanic and idea for like a digital game. It just kind of sucks. It's like attached to Magic, and you have to have this weird like I'd wager there's probably more people that are playing the paper game and then go into digital than there are digital coming to then play paper. Because I realize
I would
the
agree.
digital to paper pipeline is probably way more confusing than the other way around.
Yeah, even just me being someone who typically played paper and decided to get into arena recently, some of those conjure, I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? like why? Like I think one of the cards is like whenever this creature attacks, dragons in your hand perpetually cost one less. So like all of a sudden they're playing like old Gnawbone for two, and I'm like, what is happening here? Like why is this a thing?
That's heinous.
It is. It is. It was miserable. But yeah, overall, I agree with you on Garth, but I also agree with you on if Hearthstone did the same thing as Alchemy, it gets really confusing, and especially when if it's a card that's not existent in that deck, and then all of a sudden just exists because, like you said, RNG. That seems really frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get into
What
that.
else? I'm trying to think. This was segueing in from card games that I played. Yeah, Hearthstone was like the biggest
Yeah,
one. I tried Eternal for a little bit. It was kind of I wouldn't say like Magic Light, but like had kind of the same idea of like okay, you have like these land type cards that are helping you play out these other cards in hand. I haven't looked at Eternal in years though. I think I want to say they're still around, but I haven't really checked it. Duelist was a really cool the way it played. I'd almost say is like if you know what I'm talking about, sorcery TCG, where
yeah,
we actually have like Yeah, so it was one of the cool things about Duelist. I think like the first game ended, but then they remade it into Duelist 2. It has a really cool pixel art style. You are putting your physical units onto the board. You as your like the player can also like attack stuff yourself constantly. And I remember the way the board was set up was like you have everyone start on opposite sides, and you had these three like little bubbles down the center. And if you or a unit passed through one of those bubbles, it was basically like a temporary mana for the turn. There's a lot of cool stuff with that game. I was trying to
Oh,
get into it for a while. I think the thing that stopped me was I was trying to be free to play, and it was just really hard to be a free to play player in that system. But the like mechanics and like the gameplay and the art style, just being like the pixel art was so fucking cool. But yeah, like up until Magic, I had a lot of card game experience, and then I found Magic, and then because moving out here, Magic kind of became the primary game because there wasn't really a Yu-Gi-Oh scene out here, and also Yu-Gi-Oh was extremely expensive. And it was just like I can't get into Yu-Gi-Oh, but I'll get into Magic because it's the Commander stuff, casual. Just go to like the restaurant, toss back some beers, have some chicken tendies while I'm like beating up people with soul rings, and basically just like Commander just seemed like an easier way to get into the game. Just throw back some beers while just shooting the shit with people and just playing
yeah.
Magic.
Yeah, no, that I mean, it really does seem like a lot of fun, and every time I see Yu-Gi-Oh, I get stressed out. It seems like there's too much going on. I'm not gonna lie.
I like to compare Yu-Gi-Oh as like the Marvel versus Capcom of TCGs or like the Smash Bros. Melee. Of just the game is so incredibly fast. It's like it's older, but it still has like this die-hard player base that still sticks into it. What's really crazy actually, they just showed off some stuff for the next set coming out into Yu-Gi-Oh! And what they do a lot of times, because Yu-Gi-Oh's a Japanese game, when the sets come to the States, what they do is that they actually have like some world premiere decks. So for a while there'll be a deck that is like or cards that are exclusive to American and like the Western Yu-Gi-Oh, not like Japanese and Asian in Asia countries where they would have the game out there. And this archetype is like you just flat out turn Yu-Gi-Oh into chess. There are no main deck monsters. You have like a field spell that sets up the chessboard. You have all of your pawns, kings, rooks, knights in the extra deck that are synchro monsters that put themselves into play. Yu-Gi-Oh is a goofy ass game, but when it's like let's make this game not Yu-Gi-Oh, it's so funny.
That is kind of funny. I wish I kind of wish I say very much
Yeah,
stress kinda wish I knew more about Yu-Gi-Oh. But when I was growing up, I played every TCG that was out in the late '90s, early 2000s that wasn't
yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh. So which was an immense amount. So I think I'm lucky that I didn't truly get into Yu-Gi-Oh, because it sounds like even the changes that happened over the years were just so jarring for some people. But when you can have fun with it, it sounds like you have a lot of fun with it,
It it
even
it's
still
it's a
now.
fun time.
Yeah,
I work at I've been working at a game shop while also doing the social media stuff, and Yu-Gi-Oh is definitely one of the bigger games for tournaments that we have there. And just
I believe that.
the game is the game finds itself in very weird spots where sometimes it's completely unenjoyable and other times it's like it's very hyper interactive to the degree of like a legacy or a vintage matchup.
Interesting. I feel like that happens with a lot of card games too. It's like it's either like it feels dead or it feels like the healthiest it's ever been, and and that with any TCG. If it just like it's never like a it's doing fine. It's either
Yeah.
like when Standard, it was like Standard's dead, and then now all of a sudden Standard's thriving. It's like, all right, what do you want? I don't know what you want from us, guys. Pay
All it took
attention.
was for us to print Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and suddenly it's the healthiest it's ever been.
No, actually, it's thanks to Spider-Man, because it is one of the highest selling sets of all time. Don't forget that. No, never forget. Speaking of Magic, we'll pivot back to your,
Yeah.
I guess, what we could consider your bread and butter at this point, for over 2 years, or almost 2 years now, coming up on 2 years
It's coming up on 2 years, I think, if you look at the
in
raw
November.
raw counts. Yep, that
Yeah,
sounds
coming up
right.
in November, is Spellify. What made you start doing that? Because I enjoy it. I think it's really fun watching your thought processes in this.
So what got me for Spellify was I'm trying to remember if I found it like on TikTok of someone else doing it on YouTube or like if I just stumbled into it myself. But I remember I stumbled into it very early on, only within the first couple weeks of them starting the game up on EDHRec, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And at the time, I was also searching for a thing I could do daily content because at the time I was really stuck on like, well, everyone else is doing like these commander card reviews I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle because, bluntly put, like a lot of short form Magic content is the same. It's all talking about like commander staple or cards to play or spoilers that are coming out.
Yeah.
And there's or like I guess if you wanted to throw it as like the fourth category, oh, like the pretend gameplay of like showing off. But those I think I don't really lump it as much because I think there's a little bit more it's a little more higher effort to do in my opinion than just sitting in front of a camera and yapping about new product releases or anything. And I saw Spellify and I was like, this could be kind of cool because like it's daily content. It's definitely something different. And kind of my big thing with it's like, yeah, I said this in the panel that I did about it at year, but what I like about Spellify is that it kind of as if someone is walking into the Spellify room hypothetically and seeing a card, obviously they just have whatever to guess the card, but they don't really have like any sort of outside force that is necessarily affecting their opinion of the card. So if this is your first time looking at a card, it offers you a very different experience compared to a lot of like absorbing cards online where you don't have to get your opinion from someone else if it's the first time you've seen something. Now, I break that rule admittedly because a lot of times, like a Spellify, after I solve the card, I kind of go into like, oh, here are my thoughts. Here's my opinions on this card, yada yada. But I think if you're doing it by yourself, it's one of the few ways to interact with Magic that isn't going to color your opinion on something. You can actually make the opinion of something yourself.
Yeah, because even if you go to like an EDHrec, which I know you work with, and shout out EDHrec, love you, but it's colored by other people's decks who have made something involving the card that you're looking up, right? So
Yeah.
even if it's unintentional, even if it's indirect, it's still coloring your opinion of either that card or how to play that card versus the Spellify. You're literally just looking at the card and it's like, oh, let me figure out what to do from here.
Yeah, and like even it's like almost the most raw, like the only closer raw form to just like stumbling into a card you've never seen and making an opinion based on that card is literally opening a pack of Magic cards and like
Yeah.
not knowing anything about the set.
Yeah. Shout out randomcommander.com, by the way, too. For those who remember, I used to do a commander takedown thing where I would figure out if I could fight the commander, and that was just it just show you a random commander, and half of them I'd never seen in my entire life. So that was
That's
also
funny.
super interesting. But you're right, like it's just you open a pack and then you see the card and then you can make your opinion because how many times have you like spoiler season is all year round now where
Yeah.
we can make our opinion based on literally every single video we see of people talking about the card that's been spoiled or this that or the other thing, which by the way love the people who make those contents. That I love that for them, but it is all over the place, you're right. So at
Yeah,
some
like I
point.
don't and I don't want to be a hypocrite and be like, "Oh, I'll never touch that." I've definitely messed with that a bunch. Like one of the better
Yeah,
shorts I had for a while was like me kind of talking about why I thought the counterintelligence precon was one of the better ones that had been put out, just because like had really good reprints, actually had a game plan into it, or just like even like some other stuff that I put out that is still talking about new cards and to some degree, like my rant on the walls of Bossing Say that I think is such a bad card, but it's still up there. But basically, yeah, I did Spellify just as a way of like, hey, I don't want to get caught. I don't want to be stuck into like the same traps or just the same environments that other people are into. This will like it's something different that I can kind of point to. Is like, hey, this is my thing that I keep that I do, and not a lot of other people. I think like Script is I think the only person I can think of who I've seen
yeah,
does Spellifies.
yeah. And obviously he doesn't do it like you because a year later, a year out from the original creation of it, almost to the day, you came up with a song to intro yourself.
Uh,
How did the song come about?
the song came about because I guess you can call it vanity of like, damn, I want these to get more viewership. And I was looking at my analytics and it's like, okay, people are like dropping off, pretty quickly, even on YouTube. So my thought was, okay, I've been watching a lot of who's the guy? Monster. He's the one that does like the Pokemon openings of like, should I open it or should I keep it? See it?
Yeah,
Like it was
yeah.
literally
Yeah.
based from that. I was like, okay, let me try to like just throw something together really quick in Audacity
Mhm.
and then I had been starting to mess with. I use Sony Vegas for my editing program. It is a love hate relationship because sometimes it's pretty damn good. Other times it just spends like an hour crashing every 3 minutes. But I wanted to have a little like I wrote the. I came with a little intro in Audacity. I kind of timed it to having like some stuff slide into the screen with the little logo coming through, and yeah, just kind of history from there of like, okay, I wanted a more eye-catching intro that'll get people to stick around for the video potentially. And I think it's worked. I think now I'm not sure how much of it's necessarily from the intro or just increase in viewership over a year plus, but
Mhm.
you know, there's more people watching it now, so I can't complain too much. God, has it really been almost a year since I put up the song intro? Fuck, dude.
I mean, it's been 6 months, just about. Yeah. So you're coming up on that time, man. It's been yeah.
Oh,
I mean, no, I mean, what year are we in? We're in 26. Yeah, okay. So it's
yeah.
been about 6 months. So yeah, you it's been a while since you first had the intro come out, and I love it. I sing it in my head randomly in the middle of the day. I'll be honest. So so if nothing else, it's it's catchy
It's a good
and I
earworm.
it is a good earworm. I can agree with that. Was out of all the Spellifies that you've done, is there one that made you the most upset that you missed?
The most upset that I've missed, ooh, because I was asked like a similar question on Gamer Dad Bob's podcast a while back, and that was like the
Shout out.
hardest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Bob. That was a great time. The two that were the one that I think was like most angry that I've missed. Oh man, there have been some here and there where it's one of those where it's like, oh, this card was like so simple and like I couldn't see it from the image. If I wanted to just go back through
Yeah.
my own
Go for it.
playlist real quick and try and see, oh boy, what was the most infuriating card that I've missed recently.
Oh, so
Um,
I know one of them that you missed was Chainer.
yes, that one was more annoying because the guy that is handling a lot of the bulk, and I know I had just entered Chainers into inventory maybe like a day or so prior to that, and I was
Mhm.
like, who the hell is this? And I put through, it's like, oh, I know who.
Yeah, that can be frustrating. I know a Marauding Blight Priest was one that you missed
Yes.
most recently.
Yes, that was one that made me a little pissed because that one I was like, it's always for me. It's always the ones of like I can see like literally everything else about the card that's important except the name.
Hmm.
Because I think a lot of times like names don't matter as much because you're always caring about more what the card does. If it was Yu-Gi-Oh, where the name's really important, it's looking for like a specific part of the name, like a Valakut archetype, then sure. But Magic doesn't have the as much importance on names, and that gets really annoying.
Yeah, this is very true. Was
Um,
that correct me if I'm wrong? Was that what happened with? Did you get Bloodthirsty Conqueror correct, or was that were you not keeping your track yet? I can't remember.
Bloodthirsty
No, you
Con
were.
that
No, you got that one.
yeah.
I'll say there was another one that you missed that I. Oh, Coralheim. Retreat to Coralheim.
Yes, that one
Oh,
was no, that one was bullshit because that one was actually bullshit because I was like, what? Because it's like I had it like every part. It wasn't even that I had the card name wrong. It's I had two letters off. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
I think we found it. I think we found
Yeah, there you go. Regina
the.
Corlett. The the two that I can name that I think were the hardest were Seraph Vipers, the Viper's Fang
Yeah.
from Midnight Hunt,
Mhm.
and Kazul, Ruler of the Cliffs from Worldwake.
Okay.
Those have been the only two cards in the entirety of Spellify where I've gone to the last guess and had to throw a Hail Mary to make spelling it correct. And
It's
Kazul
so
was really
hard. Yeah.
Kazul was insane because I was like, that was I think Kazul was like I think the closest I've ever been resigned to. Oh, this is the card that's going to end the Spellify streaks entirely.
I mean, hey, good job on you though, because
I that
hey, spelling is
that
hard, by the way.
that
Spelling is-
I like dead ass. I think I was sitting there for if I wanted to pull up the original because when I edit these, it's like basically I have just the raw footage. That I'm editing it out in Sony Vegas. The raw footage for the Kazul video is probably a solid about 10-15 minutes of me just staring at the screen trying to like math it out. Just unironically, it was just staring. It's like who are you?
see everyone. This proves how hard Josh works to make sure that he gets these in a reasonable, and he has to get this down to 60 seconds after 10 10 to 15 minutes.
The 60 seconds thing is kind of it started off as trying to be that like that restriction
Yeah.
because YouTube Shorts at the time were limited to I think 60 seconds.
Yeah.
But now that YouTube Shorts are like 3 minutes, like it's not in 60 anymore, which is I think better for my mental health of trying to edit down the videos into something because before if it when it was editing down to 60 seconds, I felt so incredibly rushed and it's like these don't feel good because just like it's having to cut because the the thing that I like about Spellify is that it gets to kind of I get to like make little bits and pieces of like card facts here and there, or like kind of explanation of why I'm thinking the the card is formatted a certain way. And when I
Mhm.
only had 60 seconds of video time to do it, there was no time to really insert that in. It was even worse when I actually had to guess the card, because like I had to shove all the guessing in at the end. It was a
Yeah.
mess. And now that I actually have some more wiggle room time available, it has more room to breathe.
Yeah, I mean that is a good thing because I know with like what is it with TikTok, you talk to certain people and they say you know it has to be a minute long to be able to get like a certain to be able to start monetizing, right? Same thing
Yeah.
with YouTube, it has to be over 8 minutes long for monetization. Like you have to hit these certain marks. And then when one of the marks is you have to be under the certain amount, even if you want it to
Yeah.
be a really good video, like that's so difficult.
I'm a little under the bullet here.
Yeah, that's a little rough, but yeah, I think it's going really well. I'm glad you're still doing it, and I hope it continues for a long, long time. I know I didn't true because I'm not great about following Magic content
Yeah.
as a whole. I followed the people I followed, but once I met you in Atlanta, I was very interested in like following, and I'm not always good about you know I understand now after all this time why sometimes people watch videos and don't subscribe. It's because you think after watching it, after it's already in your algorithm, you think it's like, oh, this is something that I've already subscribed to because it comes up on my page all the time. And then
Right, right.
you realize that you don't. So I had to do that at some point. But your stuff is very very fun. Speaking of Atlanta, MagicCon Vegas is coming up here soon. How many MagicCons have you been to?
I've been to, let me think off here. My first MagicCon was, when was it? It was, I think, Vegas 23. And then I went to, let me try to like mentally track here. That it was Vegas 23, Vegas
Mhm.
24, and then last year I went to both the Vegas one in like early April. It was like April, May, and
Yeah.
then to Atlanta last year. Then I'm gonna be at MagicCon Vegas this year, and I'll more than likely be at Atlanta this year as well. Cross my fingers as a creator, man. One of these
Yeah.
creator badge.
Is that a goal of yours is to get the creator badge?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Like it is one of my goals to creator badge or some form of ambassadorship. I was I was so bummed with how the ambassador stuff ended up like spilling out for Lorwyn Eclipse, because Lorwyn is, I think, the first set, like unironically probably one of the first sets since I started playing Magic that I was actively like, since like Neon Dynasty, that I was so hyped for, that I was like, I'm actually a creator now. I can maybe like do ambassador stuff for it. It didn't end up happening, but it's like I love Lorwyn, I love Elemental, yada yada.
Yes,
But
you
like
do.
I said, one of the goals this year is definitely, yeah, get the creator badge. Hopefully, do more. I'd love to do more directly with. I'm still waiting to hear if the panel I submitted for Vegas is taken yet, but I've heard nothing so far, so I'm a little concerned.
Fingers out. Hopefully by the time this comes out, which
Hopefully,
probably
I'll
only a couple
know.
weeks, you hopefully
If I need to know, because I need the prep time.
yeah. What? Well, okay. Remind me to ask about elementals here in a minute, because obviously recently you put out what I would consider a tour de force involving elementals recently. But I want to ask a question with for MagicCon.
Yeah,
What is something you enjoy about MagicCon that doesn't directly relate to Magic itself?
that doesn't directly relate to Magic itself.
Like maybe it's the people, maybe it's like you get to go places, whatever has, but like it doesn't actually directly have to do with the fact that it's like, you know, you're playing a game of Magic or you're buying Magic cards or opening packs. Like what's something that you enjoy most about MagicCon?
I like the little side event stuff here and there, like whenever they have the little Dustmore and Bloomborough, like little quizzes for the pins and like extra add-on things. It's always nice little side things that aren't just playing Magic, but also it's the case of, yeah, I love yapping with people. It was one of the funnier ones was like at MagicCon Vegas, yeah, last year. I stumbled into, they were doing like a Final Fantasy trivia booth thing, and it was starting to be less of Final Fantasy, more just like general Magic trivia. And the group of people I was with, one of them just happened to have recognized me from Spellify stuff, and that was the first time I've had someone recognize me out of, like not like specifically someone who I hadn't worked with as a creator or talked with before, who had actually just recognized me just out in the world. And that was very funny just to have at the random trivia thing. But away of like the vanity side of things, part of it is just like meeting and talking with people, not necessarily playing Magic. Another part, talking with artists and like and like checking out their work. If I was to name like a couple people off the rip, Wizard of Barge Dakota, really cool guy. It turns out we have a mutual friend actually, which is kind of cool. He's my friend
That-
Jordan. He does some Magic altars and other stuff. But like Wizard Bard has made like a lot of really cool stuff. I actually have his. I don't know if it shows up too much in my shorts because I know the way my camera is. But I have his art of Limdul's vault from the 30th anniversary lair. Like I have the print of that in my office.
so
Um,
cool.
the art of magic is something I wish I had more disposable income to appreciate more. Is the nicest way to
Yeah.
say it. I'm so, it's really goofy because like doing the bulk stuff too, and a lot of it having to be sorting and looking through these older cards. I've I'm trying to not sound like pompous or anything like that, but I've really gained an appreciation for, like the old style of magic art. Kind of like it's a very night and day difference from the style of magic art that it was up through like I'd probably say the mid 2000s up to how it is now. It's
Mhm.
very I don't know, it's just a very different vibe and I almost would want to get back to more of that old school vibe. I see why there's such a drive of like people going to play sorcery or invest in these other games with that older style art because there's a vibe to it that I genuinely think Magic is missing in some degree.
Yeah, yeah. I started playing Sorcerer recently, and a lot of it has to do with the card art is just phenomenal.
On a very brief tangent, my favorite card in sorcery is I haven't played the game too much, but I've been around
Yeah.
it because we sell at the shop. It's I think out of I don't know if it's out of Gothic or if it's out of the Dragon Lord like little set, but
Mhm.
there's a dragon that says when he enters, save the board state, and when he dies, revert the board state back to how it was. And the FAQ for this guy is some of the most hilarious and cursed things I've ever read for FAQs of cards. Because one of the questions is, well, how do I archive the board state? And their dead ass response is take a picture with your phone.
Hey man, you know what?
It
If
is
not, you better learn how to do some graph paper and writing it down because you better learn today. You know,
you're not you're not wrong. I do think that's
yeah,
just so funny that the response like just like bring a Polaroid, just take a picture of
yeah,
the board state, use your
yeah.
phone.
Yeah, just someone's got to one of you two have to have a phone. One of y'all got to have a phone. You'll be able.
Beyond mortal flashbacks. What you guys don't have phones?
Yes, right. But yes, I do agree. Some of the like one of the cards I have and I love and apparently has gone up in price recently. Shout out Against the Grain because she does a lot of magic market stuff.
Yeah.
Is the old demonic tutor from Ice or not demonic tutor, the old dark ritual from Ice Age
Yes.
has gone up
All the dark rituals are going up.
and well I have four of the one from Ice Age
Ooh.
because for those who don't know, I've been playing since Ice Age. Yes, I'm that old. And I'm just like, oh, these are going up. Like this is just I have this in a like an unsleeved kitchen sink.
Beat to shit. The edges are like starting to bend in. It's like
Only a
all
little bit.
wigged out.
I'm pretty gentle with my cards, but a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I can't deny like it's just normal wear and tear. Well, that's what we'll call it. Normal wear and tear. Probably should sleeve those, but I do not care because I don't plan on getting rid of them. But it's interesting that like, but you look at those cards and you're like, these are like some of them are terrible. Like just because like just not great art. But for the most part, most of them are beautiful. Most of
Yeah.
them are just absolutely gorgeous, and that's one of them. I love that dark red. I think that's a gorgeous card, and I think that's also why people love things like, or why people liked Lorwyn so much. The art in there was really, it felt very nostalgic, at least to me, and for some of the cards, not for all the cards. But I think that's also why people love the Magical Archives
Yeah.
because the Magical Archives are so gorgeous.
My favorite my hand like I love the old art, but hands down my favorite art in Magic is the Japanese Mystical Archives Demonic Tooth.
I feel like if that's not like 75% of people's answers, then I don't know what's going on.
It was like I think maybe it helped too that it was like I never pulled it myself, but it was around when I was starting to actually buy Magic product myself, like around
Mhm,
Strixhaven, because I was starting to buy
mhm.
it around like Kaldheim. But
Yeah,
just like I don't know, something just like the I don't want to say the aura and the cool action, but just like the
but
energy it
seriously.
exudes, it just like
The
I guess how
spirit, the
simple it is,
demon.
just black, white, and red. Like it's just evocative. It's very just like it
Striking.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful card because even the demonic tutor from the English version is it's beautiful. It's a very
Yeah,
beautiful
it's
card.
like a it's like stained glass bolus, right? Or
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah, stained glass bowls. Yeah, it's exactly what, and it's gorgeous. But that the JP art is so beautiful. It's like otherworldly beautiful. Like I don't know that there's gonna be art that could beat that for me personally.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. I like I love I love like the Chandra, you know, I'm a big Chandra guy. So like
Yeah.
I love the Chandra JPs. I have a one in my Tifa deck. I have cultivate the JP cultivate, which is gorgeous. Like those are in all the like all the JP cards are just gorgeous. But
Oh, that's
that demonic tutor, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
yeah.
It's hard to beat. Plus also demonic tutor, really good card. Don't know
Yeah,
if you
and
need
like actually good card.
yeah, actual good card as opposed to like, you know, when you end up pulling like 19 negates, which, you know, it's a nice looking mystical archive, but who needs 19 negates? No one needs 19 negates. Uh,
Definitely.
but with Strixhaven coming out shortly, is there any cards you're hoping to see come out in the mystical archives?
Ooh, let me think for a second here. That's a really good question.
I
Um,
theorize while you're thinking, I theorize that Harmless Offering put out something where there's a
yeah.
picture of a seal. I'm theorizing that it's Imp Seal. That's what I'm theorizing. I don't know for
Ooh,
sure,
Imps
but
will
that's
be
my theory.
hot.
Yeah.
I think Path to Exile would be kind of cool to see a mystical archives print for because we already saw Swords to
Mhm.
Plowshares.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
you know what? That's a good shout.
what else? I know the original mystical archives kind of covered like the vast majority of like really popular instants and like sorcery.
Yeah, I wonder if there's
I
some that oh, I know they have the stock up coming out, which looks really nice.
Yeah, stock up's coming up. It'd be a little bit of crossover with the Japanese farewell from Neon Dynasty, but I'd be really curious how like Archives farewell would look. I hate the card, but like
Yeah.
the you know the effect's fine. Like the art's
Yeah.
beautiful. What else? Oh, Vampire. I mean, I guess you know Imsteel. I don't think they want to be doing both Imsteel and Vampire Tutor
Yeah.
same in the
Maybe
same archive.
mystical? Maybe a mystical
Uh,
tutor?
Enlightened Tutor, probably mystical actually, because for you know the sorceries and stuff in Strixhaven. Worldly Tutor would be really nice to see.
Yep.
I okay, CDH fans here. Adnaz, I think would look pretty hot for mystical
Adnaz would
archive.
look really good. Adnaz would look crazy.
Like we
Oh
already saw
no.
tank effects. Come on.
Yeah, it might as well. Hey, why not? Why not? I mean, well, I you know, for what it's worth, I'm a big join forces guy. If they would do
Yeah.
all the join forces cards in the mystical archive, I think that would be
Oh
really cool.
man, I don't think they'd ever do. I don't think they'd want
I
to
don't
do it
think they
because
would.
it would make
I don't think they
limited.
would.
Well, not for the joint forces, but for the one I'm thinking of, because it would make limited awful if they let this happen. Worldfire. I think like that'd be awful. But oh my god, the art would go so fucking hard.
That would be so good. Oh my gosh. Please, you know what? I hope. Let's just hope. You know, let the one person pull the world fire in the
Yep.
limited, and you know, only 3 people really need to deal with it. So,
Yep.
like, just you know, just let it happen. Just let it be. You know, and at the end of the day, they have to figure out how to fit it into a 40 card deck. So, you know, whatever. Why not?
More power to them.
Yeah, exactly. More power to them. I think that would be really fun. But yeah, there's so many options with the mystical archives. And like I'm trying to think of cards that have come out in recent past besides stock up, because stock up obviously is like a huge, they could do gifts ungiven again, or gifts,
Yeah.
yeah, gifts ungiven again. Like you know, the cards that have been unbanned, like you said, with Worldfire and stuff like that, like they have plenty of options. It'll be interesting to see what they do. And you'll be in Vegas to get a lot of the hype from it too, so that'll be
Yeah.
nice. I'm pretty jealous. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty jealous, but
Well, like if I didn't already have family in Vegas, then I probably would not be going out to Vegas.
hey, you know what? Take the
Whatever,
wins
we're
where you can get
going.
them. Take the wins where you
Yeah.
can get them, man. You know, like my family, you know, we're from Puerto Rico, and we had to take care of some family business. If it wasn't for the fact that my aunt has an apartment down there, I wouldn't have gone to Puerto Rico. And like,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm not going to complain about it. I got to go to Puerto Rico. It was a lot of fun. But you know, sometimes you just got to take the wins, and it's cool that you have that option. I think that's really awesome. I think it's really awesome. So okay,
Yeah.
Josh, we've been here a while, and for those who don't know, we have a tendency to chat for a long time prior to even recording, so we've been here even longer than you all realize. So not to take up too much of more Josh's time, but I'm going to start doing my Midwest goodbye. Shout out Sullivan. I'm going to start doing my Midwest goodbye, and I'm going to ask you some of the hardest questions you're going to hear in your life. They're not really that hard. I just say that every episode, and apparently it's my thing now.
Before you hold on,
So
before your
yeah,
Midwest goodbye, I don't know if it's
yeah.
part of it because you asked me to re-mention the elemental thing.
Oh,
Just
the
all
elementals. Yeah, go back. Thank you. Thank you. Hey,
yeah.
you know what? If there's something else anyone who's ever listened to this knows, I don't remember shit. So yes, please go back. So the elemental video, because I got the pleasure of listening to it. Well, part of it blew out my eardrums, but I got the pleasure of listening to it
It was the best
and
part though. It
watching
was
it.
the best part of it.
It was the best part of it. It was the best part of it. My ears were bleeding post that, but it was the best part. So you got to so you did a whole video on elementals. I'm just gonna let you take the floor from here because you did so much work on that. I don't want to take away
Yeah.
from it.
So basically, my favorite commander deck is Horde of Notions. For the people that don't know about him, he is a 5-drop from original Lorwyn. He was the kind of capstone in limited environment for elementals. Wooburg cost 5/5, Vigilance, Trample, Haste, and for 5 mana, one of each color, you can cast any elemental in your graveyard without means. You can recast stuff like Maelstrom Monitor and still get Cascade. You can do all these cool casters. You play Reanimator. It is it has been my favorite commander deck ever to play. It's been my baby that I've been like tinkering with for over almost 4 years now. It's one of my favorite decks, and I decided for Lorwyn Eclipse to basically do this massive overall review of every elemental creature in Magic. Which, if you type it in through Skyfall, you get about like just shy of like 700. So over the course of 35 minutes, I do a nice little ranking, go chronologically, talk about the elemental design, how it shifted and evolved. Because in the start of Magic, a lot of cards tend to be more flavorful than functional, and it's weird that elementals, I think, were getting kind of the short end of that stick. A lot of them were just like very, but they all sucked in gameplay. But if you kind of look at more recent history, elementals have been dominating. Whether you look at like the Modern Horizons 2 evoke elementals, whether you look at my goat Risen Reef, whether you look at like the cool stuff they just did within standard recently with the Is It Spelemental archetype. It was a very gratifying video. One of the first videos I've done where it's like this long form yapping in front of a camera instead of like my animated style that I've done for a lot of other stuff prior to this.
Yeah, it was really really good. I think my favorite part, no offense to the part with the reef, is where you have the W for Wizards of the Coast sneaking out of your room and locking you in there. That's probably my favorite part, but that's also because I love silly humor, and that was silly humor to me.
I needed a reason. I don't know if the word is like chronologically or whatever. It's why you want to. And the reason lore I give is like, oh, well, I'm like reading off like a note of like I'm gonna review every elemental, and to do that, Wizards is gonna lock me in my room. And I kind of turn around and you just kind of see sneaking away.
And that is genuinely really funny to me. And yeah, I mean, it started off the video good for me. I don't know about
Yeah,
everyone else, but I loved it. I enjoyed it. Thank you for
I'm glad,
reminding me. Yeah, I'm
I'm glad
glad.
you
Yeah,
liked
you did
it.
you put a lot of work into that. People go check it out because Josh put a lot of effort into that. He has some really good thoughts on elementals as a whole. And there's like, how many are there again, you said?
679.
So even with shortcutting some of them and saying all of these suck at the same time, it's still a lot of elementals to go through. So show Josh some love and go check that out.
It's a
It's
handful.
really but it's really really good. They're not. I will tell you this. There's a lot of Fs. There's a lot of but that again, like you said, it was more about it was more about what the flavor rather than the function. So
Yeah,
it be like that sometimes. All right, so back to my super hard to totally difficult, not made up of how hard it is questions for you.
yeah.
My first question for you: what is your favorite all-time card?
Favorite all-time card, Survival of the Fittest.
Survival of the Fittest. Why is Survival of the Fittest your all-time favorite?
I think as a card, like from one, it's just a incredibly powerful card. From a gameplay standpoint, I think it offers massive amount of flexibility for what you can do in creature decks. I like to describe Survival of the Fittest as buried alive at home that also just ends up with your best. It's so versatile. You just get bad stuff out of your hand because it is discarding stuff. It lets you trigger like madness. It's letting you do a bunch of really cool interactions. I mean, yeah, it's a tutoring card, but it's so versatile. I love it doesn't have like a bunch of bad restrictions stapled onto it. The best part of old card design, I guess. But it's so God, it just feels so good to resolve.
Yeah, I was gonna say the good part about old card design is they were just good. They were just good, and I mean, so obviously a game changer, but it's being able to pay. It costs two in total. Pay one green,
It's one and a green to cast, and then it's green, discard a creature, tutor a creature.
tutor a creature, which is crazy. That's just insane. That's
So
just like.
It's so
So
good.
so here's a worldly tutor forever. Have fun.
Yeah, it doesn't even go to top deck. It just goes straight to
Yeah.
the hand. It's
Oh yeah,
it's
that's
fucking
true. Yeah, just straight to hand
so
worldly
good.
tutor, and it's just you don't even it doesn't even have to be like some of the cards now. It's like get rid of this creature and then find one that's +1 whatever its mana cost. It's get rid
Nope.
of a land and war elf, go get Warren Clucks.
Yeah, it's so fucking good.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. That's a good shout. That's a really good shout. What is your favorite all-time deck? It could be one you have now. It could be. It doesn't have to even be Commander. Doesn't even have to be Magic. Since we've been talking about a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh today. What is your
Okay.
all-time favorite deck you've ever played with?
Favorite all-time deck I've ever played with from a different card game, Battle Spirit Saga. It's a Bandai card game. It was Bandai's attempt to revitalize the Battle Spirits game that they tried bringing to the West back in the early 2000s. Didn't work out, even though the game's been doing massively in Japan for like the past 20 years. So they brought it back at like around like 2022, 23. And my favorite deck to play in that, it's the deck that I actually got top 16 with at one of the Grand Open events, like the Grand Prix equivalent, was Fable Beasts. The way to describe it is basically life in Battle Spirits was handled by these little cores up in the core. When you took damage, those cores entered your mana pool. Like your cores, like the mana pool is physically like physical mana objects, basically. You can mess around with. The mana could be could be spent for cards, but also could be left on your creatures and enchantments basically to level them up to get new abilities. Fable Beast's whole thing was that a lot of the creatures had Bless, which was lifelink. Lifelink was functionally delayed ramp because you gain the life, it goes into your life pool, and then you could take damage and then get that into your mana pool for later. Fable Beast also had a really cool top end guy called 10 Millennia Turtle Genbu. And Genbu's whole thing was basically letting users evade through in the most like heinous way. Start a combat, target a Fable Beast you control. It can't be blocked this turn except by basically vanilla creatures. And it made players actively have to play vanillas in main deck to handle that matchup. And other times, you could go, cool, this guy can't be blocked. I'm going to swing, it's Yu-Gi-Oh style where you have to attack one at a time, swing out everything all at once. So you go, cool, swing one guy, they lose life. Swing a different guy, they block it. Cool, I'll untap my other guy that is unblockable and then swing with him again. It just put your opponent into these massive mix-ups where you could screw with them in a bunch of different ways. It's one of my favorite decks I've played in a card game. There was a lot of cool decision trees to do. Fun being the underdog because that deck going into this tournament was kind of positioned as like the least likely deck that could actually pull out the win.
Oh, okay. That sounds. I don't think I've ever heard of that card game either. I'm trying to
It is
remember.
I have a video all about how to play it on my channel.
Or
It's
I
a
missed
very
one.
You're good. It's a very cool game. Unfortunately, I think Bandai shot themselves in the foot with a number of factors with marketing the game and the fact that they then proceeded in the span since that game's release, within like 2 years, they put out, I shit you not, One Piece, Union Arena, and Gundam.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't think there's a chance in hell with with Bandai actively shooting themselves in the battle spirits and like making a bunch of mistakes that the game would be able to survive for any extended period of time unless it was being subsidized by the success of everything else.
yeah. Also, I mean, the TCG market is so difficult right now because, as we talked about, Riftbound has become a thing,
Yeah.
and that's not even to include, which we haven't gotten to touch on yet, with you, is the Cyberpunk
Yeah.
coming out here soon too. Do you want to
Yeah.
touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, Cyberpunk's kind of a funny game I stumbled into. One of my friend who was my manager for a while working at the card shop, who then moved to another card shop in town and was then basically poached by Cyberpunk to be their director of organized play. He got into it, and that was kind of my mutual connection that got me at least interested to look at the game. And then, I got one of the alpha kits. I put out a little video showing off the gameplay with my buddy Caleb, and I guess that's another story for talking about Illustrials and my involvement with them. But I've been involved with a lot of card games, unfortunately, or
Yeah,
however you want to say it. But yeah, so Cyberpunk's coming out. I am flabbergasted by how much support it has so far. I don't know if you've been kind of under a rock for the past couple days. The Kickstarter came out and it blew past its initial 100K goal in maybe the first minute. It hit about 2.5 mil in the first 30 minutes, hit like 4 mil in the first hour, and like 3 or 4 days after starting is at like 11 in terms of money it's gotten from backers. The game looks insane for the amount of support that it's getting from people so far.
Yeah, it's gonna be super interesting. Hopefully it
Yeah.
sticks because I've seen a lot of card games go by the wayside. How many times has Star Wars tried to do a card game and
I mean,
yeah.
It's Unlimited's on set 7. It's chugging.
Yeah,
Um,
thankfully, but I mean I think this is their third time going for a card game
yeah.
now.
On the
So
bright side, I think Cyberpunk at least seems more interesting and at least a little more approachable than some other card games.
yeah,
It has the Lorcana mana system. I think the dice and how the dice interact with how you actually win is very interesting. It has a cool way of handling like the commander stuff of like, your color identity is built out based on the amount of RAM across all of your legends, and I think that leads. So far, we haven't seen too much, but I think leads some cool like deck building that could be down the road. I think I want to see more of the legends before I finalize that opinion. But like so far, it's the first set. I imagine they don't want to go to reinvent the wheel quite yet, but I like what they have so far, and I'm anticipating some good things for what they have down the road.
yeah, I hope so. I want there to be options because I feel like for so long there weren't true options. So for the wrestling fans, it's like when WWE was the only thing,
Yeah.
and TNA tried to be a thing, and AEW is trying to be a thing, which is good. Like competition breeds creativity. You can't just have a monopoly be the only thing and then think it's going to be creative and healthy. So I think having these other card games is a healthy thing. I just hope that they're not stretching themselves too thin.
The answer
What
though is that we go to New Japan.
the answer is you always honestly,
New Japan
Japan
Wrestling.
always knows New Japan. No, I know
I love Kenny Omega.
New Japan wrestling. I got it. But also Japan really does know what they're doing when it comes to most things. So why not? Why not? Just go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and you'll be fine. There's also Pro Wrestling Noah if you need to go there, and you have plenty of options. But truthfully, like true competition breeds creativity, and I think if there is true competition, and it doesn't have to be like Magic level competition, it just has to be something that other people have an option to do where they're not getting burnt out on Magic. And also Magic feels like they're the only game in town so they can do whatever they want and no one's going to say anything about it. I
I
think that's
don't
truly
disagree that
proven.
Magic probably needs competition to make sure, they don't get too like, comfortable in their britches.
Yeah.
However, the problem with so many card games is that eventually like game shops need to pick and choose which
Yep.
communities they actually let to, stay around, which I think kind of sucks. Like on the one hand,
Yep.
it's great there's a lot of these cool card games coming out. On the other hand, it kind of sucks that it's like, well, now people are getting like it's good there's a healthy amount of choice, but when does there become too much choice that shops are afraid to spread themselves too thin to support communities?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that comes with making sure those games are accessible, which is why I like Sorcery, because Sorcery is financially very accessible. I think a booster box of 36 packs is like a buck 30, a buck 20, which is what Magic used to be for like, you know, 36 packs, and now it's like
Yeah.
150 for 30 packs. So with less cards in them than there were before. Also, Sorcery comes out with like 1 to 2 sets a year, it
Yeah.
is. So, like, it also, like, breathes longevity for the you don't feel like your cards are already power crept, like, a month later. So that's also nice. I get why Magic does what they do. I'm not gonna hate
My
on it
my one
because
concern my one concern with Sorcery's one set a year model is afraid that a metagame would get solved too quickly, but I guess with just like I guess it helps too with like the uniques and like their way of like the unique cards to hopefully help out with that. Speaking of uniques, rest in peace altered. You guys tried.
yeah, you really did, sorry. Alright, now back to the see, this is why Sullivan says, "I do the Midwest
Midwest
goodbye."
goodbye. I see
This
it.
is
I
this is
see
yeah,
it.
you see it now? Yeah. Okay, what is the card that you would say you play most often in your Magic decks?
I thought you were just saying in general. I was gonna about to say snapshot Risen Reef, but unfortunately it's not Risen Reef. I don't play enough Civic or Civic adjacent. God, card I play the most often in my Magic. I honestly I'd say the one I try to fit into a lot of decks is Eerie Ultimatum from Ikoria.
Oh, I love Eerie Ultimatum, yeah.
It's like 2, 3, and 2. It's like 2 green, 2 white, 3 black, or some combination of that. Of just like bring back every permanent with a different name from back into I mean it's a 7 mana haymaker. Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
such a good haymaker.
Yeah, 2 white, 3 black, 2 green.
That's okay. I did have
Yeah,
it right.
yeah,
Cool, cool.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I can count on more than like two hands of how many times my ass was saved in like Horde of Notions or attracts proliferate attracts specifically of Super Friends and going like, well, I can't win in this spot. Oh wait, I just get everything back into play. Let's go.
How long have you been playing Magic
I've been playing
officially?
Magic. Yeah, and like I've been playing since I guess technically around like core 2019,
Okay.
and then started to like pick up from there. I mean, like the the fun fact with the Traxo was I put the deck together because I was really into buying secret layers, and a lot of them had planeswalkers. I was like, I need a deck for
Mhm.
all these I need a deck for all these secret layers. They're rotting in my binder.
Super Friends is a good one. Super
Yeah.
Friends is a really good one. The reason I asked is because, with Ultimatum saying different
Mhm.
names, obviously good for Commander, but back in the day, back in my
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
if two things had the same name, whether or not it was the full same name, even if someone else had it, only the most recent one could stay on the board. So like
Yeah.
if you had a Jace and I had a Jace, it didn't matter if yours was Bellerin and mine was Mind Sculptor. Mine stayed on the
Yeah.
field because it came out second. So
I remember reading up on like old Magic history of like how the old legend rule works for and like how I think actually from like a Ristic study video, yeah, planeswalkers back in the day just cared about for the planeswalker type line, and you would just
mhm.
play baby Jace as a removal spell to kill big Jace.
Yep. Yep. And now, mind you, like I wasn't fully playing still
Yeah.
when Planeswalkers came out, but it worked with all legendaries because Planeswalkers being legendary. So it just was annoying as a whole.
Guys, this
Personally.
ain't trap removal.
Yep, it's a good good remove good any removal is good removal. Yeah, dies to removal as people say nowadays, right?
Yep, as all
In every
dies to
single video.
Doomblade.
Yeah, dies to Beyblade. What I don't know why. What is a card or play style or mechanic you think people should play more often?
This might be a hot take. I think you should play combo more. I am biased.
Ooh.
I'm biased in that because I am a diehard combo player. But one, I think playing combo forces you to actually understand the role of every card in your deck because a lot of times, yeah, you have some redundancy, but also forces you to analyze a board, better try to think what your outs are into something, and see where you can go from that. I think a lot of strategies kind of pigeonhole you into not as being as flexible in your thinking for how you can actually get out of a situation. There's some decks that let you that can do that and like test your ability in that, but I think combo is the absolute best for better understanding your deck and what it can do. I quick tangent. I put out a little short about it like a year or so ago. One of my favorite game patterns that I ever had, I was in like a big like 5 or 6 pile with some friends. A friend had just cataclysmed, and I have like nothing left on my board, so I'm trying to figure out how to win in this position. I have Eerie Ultimatum in my hand, but I don't have it. So the line I figure out to get through it is tap Chromatic Ori for 5 mana, natural order away Horde of Notions to get Nyxbloom Ancient, or yeah, to get Nyxbloom Ancient from deck, use the last mana and tap the back half of Fable the Mirror Breaker to make a second Nyxbloom Ancient, tap Command Tower to cast Eerie Ultimatum to then get everything back into play and draw a couple cards here and there. My buddy, lets this happen even though his counter. He's like, okay, I try to pop off with Horde of Notions to continue to do more plays. He trick binds Horde of Notions, and I don't have a sack outlet to get Horde off the board. So the way I have to go about this is going, okay, I'll let trick bind resolve. I would like to path to exile my Horde to get it back into the command zone. He goes Mindbreak Trap. Last card on my hand is Swords to Plowshares to get Horde out of play, to then recast it, to then get its ability back online, and I combo off to
Wow. But you got there.
we got there. It is the most, I think it's probably the most heinous line of Magic I've ever fucking played before, but we still got
You got
there.
at the end of the day, that's what really matters, is that you got there.
Hmm.
That's impressive. That's pretty impressive. I feel like I get lost. I've been trying to be more into combo, but I think I just end up getting lost like partway through, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I could probably play more combo to try to get the lines through properly.
Yeah.
So
Look,
I do
everyone hates
I say
combo.
that
I think you should start loving combo. That's my take.
I say that as I play modern, and I play a deck that's not truly combo deck, but whatever.
What are you playing?
What
Wait,
is
what are you playing in modern? That's not really a combo deck, but kind of is.
It's Scurry, it's Rosy Cotton, Scurry Oak, and
Well, that
Altar
combo.
of the Brood. Yeah, Altar of the Brood. So it's
Got
not
it.
really combo, but
Kind of is.
technically is combo. It's just a way easier form of combo. It's just I mill you to die, dude. And they usually say yes. So it works out pretty easily.
And then in game
Um
two, they board an Emrakul, and then you get sad.
Exactly, exactly. See, you get it. So that's why I say it's combo. It's combo adjacent. I wouldn't say it's like
Yeah,
true combo, but it's combo adjacent because I still need to know the line for that. But that's literally of all the decks. If I need to know like true lines to be able to get there, that's the one that I need to know better than any of the other ones because all the other I like to play Stompy for the most part. You know, I'm a Timmy
gotcha.
player. I'm a Timmy player. I can admit that. But yeah, that's the deck that it doesn't necessarily have to be Timmy. What is for the people who go to Magic Cons, because you've been to a few now, especially coming up with Vegas. Do you have any tips, tricks, or like places to go for Vegas since your family lives there? You've been there a bunch of times. Do you have anything that you suggest to people?
Okay, so my biggest thing specifically for Vegas that I would suggest, I think if you really want to squint at the numbers, it probably ends up evening out to be if to try and eat off the strip, but I would highly recommend don't go try to avoid eating at like the hotel like restaurants on the strip unless like the super nice places. But if you're trying to save some money and don't want to like spend a fortune, you might end up having to spend a little bit just for like Ubering around. But like there's a lot of great places just off the strip that you don't have to pay like an arm and a leg for. There is specifically this really nice coffee and tea house in around Chinatown called Gabby. And it's a little goofy because the place, if you walk up to it, just looks like like a building with a wood door. But then you open it up and it's like a greenhouse inside. They have some really good coffee. I really like pastries. I always try to get down there. And just around in Chinatown in general, there's another that I've been to a couple times, and they have this bomb ass oxtail. Oh, it's so good.
Ooh,
It's really
okay.
good. Let me think what else. In Vegas, like the public transportation kind of sucks, but if you can try to get around with like the rails around the other hotels, that's probably not the worst. I'm if you can avoid it, I would say try to walk or Uber if you sucks. Like between Vegas and Atlanta, I think I'd probably parking, but Vegas strip parking is also about as heinous and or worse. kind of
I would say the Atlanta parking was not ideal. Was not
Atlanta
ideal.
parking is cursed, man. It's fucked up.
Yeah,
That's all I can say about it.
that's very, very fair. And would you say Vegas is walkable? Like as a whole, like truly walkable, or is it just like if you walk a lot, you can do this kind of thing?
I'd probably say more if you walk a lot, you can do it. I'd say the strip is walkable, but like if you want to get off the strip, you really have to like Uber around. I wouldn't say Vegas is a crazy walkable, or at least like that part of Vegas isn't crazy walkable. Like optimistically, you probably do want to be Ubering around or have a friend that had like town and drive a little bit. It also doesn't help with it's kind of like a no-win situation. Either you're paying out for parking and like valeting because Vegas is cursed and anymore, or you're paying out for Ubering. It's like whichever one you probably want, whichever of the worst evils you want to deal with, and I'd probably say like I guess deal with Ubering around compared to like parking and all that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Last question. Last
Yeah.
question for you. What are some hopes and goals that you have for yourself? Maybe some hopes you have for Wizards of the Coast, Magic as a game, and maybe some of the other TCGs that are happening. And then as it comes to yourself, for you as a person, for you as a content creator, whatever aspect you want to aim at there.
About to kind of throw out a couple.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a bit of a like vain to say, but like
please be.
I would like to be a little bit more successful for I'm at. I think I wrote this down around last year. My goals for this coming year were to hit 5K on YouTube, 2K on TikTok, 1K on Instagram. And I'll be honest, I'm a little slower getting to that as I would a little frustrated. The Elemental video didn't pop off nearly as much as I was hoping it would. I think maybe just the factors of like my rush to get it out made me upload it at 4 in the fucking morning like a moron. It just hasn't really caught on to the algorithm. And I mean, like this little short that came out, I'm hoping will ride that. But obviously, hopes is like I'd like to be. I don't want to say more notorious in this space, but I'd really like for people to actually get to know me and to be more of like a more known figure in the Magic space. In terms of like, I guess what I would for Wizards and other maybe just like contents in general. To be honest, I would maybe another hot take. I would love to see content evolve, if that's the word to say. Magic content, I think, right now has a really bad problem of being very pigeonholed. You are, like I said kind of before, you are a lot of people make just commander or like card reviews or like product reviews, and that's not bad. That's good to have in the game to know for where people should be spending their money. But like I'm thankfully, I think I've been starting to see little bits of this evolve. Like who is it? Is it I don't know if it's Recon or another guy with an N for their name, but he's been doing like the shorts of like guess like which has the fewest commander decks built around it with
That
like him.
sounds that sounds like Recon.
Yeah, so it's like him and his wife, I think that
Oh, that
doing.
nitpicking nerds. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, nitpicking cards. But yeah, they've been doing stuff like that for like the little mini games, for like more little mini game stuff. I I, I would love, and you see it. I think more actually with other card games. I think maybe I'm biased because I'm around the Yu-Gi-Oh scene a lot, but like Yu-Gi-Oh has built out a lot of different alternate scenes with like progression series where like you are opening up boxes of sets and building decks out of them, like progressively building up your collection over time. Master Duel has had a litany of stuff where it's like, people have these massive series, like Master Saga, where it's like, okay, you are the way Master Duel is built out is that you have these master packs that are the card pool for the master packs is literally every card currently in the game, but then opening up the equivalent of like rares or mythics opens up more focused packs into like one or two archetypes that people then like build into and build out more decks with. But I think just like I'm glad to see some evolution there, but I'd really love to see more experimentation with content. I think it'll be better just in general. I wouldn't say, oh, we've been like people don't care about the quality of content, but I think people should want to care more about the type of content and want to see more different stuff come around. If I'm looking at the
Yeah.
health of like the card games in general, my own little biases here of like I would, I it's unfortunate that like Universes Beyond has become such a massive focus. I would like to see at least the attempt of choosing properties that are both notable and I think fit the realm of Magic more. Like for me personally, this probably is a room temperature take. I don't think Spider-Man fits Magic very well. I don't think TMNT fits it very well.
What?
I'm not sure if I'd say Star Trek fits it that well, I'll be honest. Maybe on like the science side, but maybe with like the Edge of Eternity's stuff. But like it's not something that I think captures to me to say this really fits the environment of Magic. Something like going in for like Dark Souls, Skyrim, Bloodborne, I think those types of stuff. My own bias here, admittedly, Bionicle is maybe like the furthest out, but I think that like vibe and the aesthetics of that fit a little bit better into the realm of Magic than a lot of these other contemporary IPs are going to fit to the game. And I think the health of Magic and the general Universes Beyond stuff is, if we have to deal with Universes Beyond, I think there should be more of a choice of like what stuff to put in that doesn't just look like they took a card off someone's Etsy shop, basically, is the way I'd say it.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. You're right. Those sets aren't really Magic sets. They don't really fit into Magic super well. I think that I think part of that has to do with how quickly they get put out, so they feel
Probably.
they feel a little less done than they should, I guess. And hopefully with Marvel superheroes, when that comes out, it feels a little more done. I will say,
Yeah.
and I've said this before and I'll say it again, not my conspiracy theory that Disney's going to buy Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, which I still truly believe that, but the theory of they were able to scheme off of Marvel Snap with a lot of the cards that they created, because
Mm,
cards like Sentry, where you create the shadow and give it to one of your opponents. That
yeah,
is something very similar that's in Marvel Snap. Same thing with Moon Girl and Devil Dino. Their ability is very similar to what's in Marvel Snap. So
interesting.
it feels like they're with this set they were able to scheme off of that a little bit, which I feel like will make it a better set because they didn't have to think as much. Same thing with Hobbit. They're able to kind of go off the idea of what happened with Lord of the Rings with different characters. So it should be a pretty good set.
Are
Star Trek, I don't know yet. So
are you ready for the one of one ring two?
yeah, right, right. The one of two, the two of one ring, the ring twins. Oh my gosh, it's a power twins. It's actually, if you put both rings together, it's gonna be a flip card. You have to put them both together and it flips. Post Malone's the only one who's gonna have it, I guess.
I'm gonna mail it to him.
Right? Yeah, another two,
Hot presses.
right? Josh, thank you so much for your time here. You've been such a treat to talk to and just pick your brain, because you're a very a smart, intelligent person who Wonder Twins. Yeah, thank you, Jace, because I forgot the name for a second. Yes, Wonder Twins. Thank you, Jace, as he messaged me about it because I forgot. Yes, Wonder Twins. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Is there
No problem,
anything
man.
that you
I
want to
appreciate you having.
anything you want to shout out while we have you here?
Yeah, man, I appreciate you bringing me on. The things
Yeah.
I'd say to shout out are check out my socials. You're gonna be looking under JMarGameDesign. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, pretty much everywhere online. I've got a couple affiliate stuff on the link tree, so if you throw in support there for whatever various things I have there for like nerd gear, the energy, throw some there. And like I said, thank you again for having me on, Jose. It was very fun talking with
Yeah, this is a blast. And everyone, please make sure you go support Josh. He's a great guy. He has some great content. Like you said earlier, if you want to look at some Magic cards that maybe you've never seen before, just get to the end where he guesses what the card is, and then pause it before he gives his thoughts. And then you can listen to his thoughts because you want to finish the video for the for the algorithm and
you.
for
True.
for YouTube consistency. You want to make sure you finish the video. Always finish the video. But again, we appreciate your time so much. And everyone, please make sure you go like, subscribe, follow Josh. Same thing here. Like, subscribe, follow, hit that notification bell so that you can make sure you don't miss any of these episodes. And if nothing else, please remember that when despair tries to win, counter with hope. Have a great one, everyone.
I like to counter a spell stick.
We're good.